I don't know why people keep making movies where everybody's kind of aged out of them, but these properties keep on going. And this goes the whole way back to 1981 in The Legend of the Lone Ranger. Clinton Spilsbury was a star of it. He came from Mormon settlers in Mexico. Spent much of his childhood in Arizona before his family moved back to Mexico. Settling in Colonia Juarez, he briefly attended Brigham Young before trying to break into Hollywood as Max Keller. Once he took on the name Clinton Spilsbury, he was born Glenn Clinton Spilsbury. He was picked for the major role of the Lone Ranger in a time when superhero and movies of past culture seemed like sure bets. But to get there, they often erase the past, where today we have the stars of those old things, getting cameos. This is post-Superman, so these cycles happen. So like when Superman came out, and Star Wars especially came out, a lot of old properties like Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers got reinvented. They were tried for years to make Batman. When Batman was finally big, there was a whole run of movies then. And the movies that kind of come out near the end are always like The Phantom, Smash Evil, Green Hornet, The Shadow, movies that I might like. The George Powell, Doc Savage, but are not great movies and fail miserably because who is going to see them like the other Lone Ranger movie? Anyways, when this was made, Clayton Moore, star of the popular 1950s TV series, was a beloved pop culture icon who had been allowed to wear his mask for personal appearances. Jack Rather, who owned the Lone Ranger character, obtained a court order that prohibited the 65-year-old actor from ever appearing as Lone Ranger again, as he believed Moore's public appearances and character would undercut the value of his movie. Moore was often quoted saying he had fallen in love with the Lone Ranger character and strove in his personal life to take the Lone Ranger creed to heart. Do you wonder what that is? To have a friend, a man must be one. All men are created equal, and everyone has within himself the power to make this a better world. That God put the firewood there, but that every man must gather and light it himself. And being prepared physically, mentally, and morally to fight when necessary for what is right. That a man should make the most of the equipment he has. That this government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall live always. That men shall live by the rule of what is best for the greater number. That sooner or later, somehow, we must settle with the world and make payment for what we've taken. That all things change. That all things change but the truth. And that truth alone lives on forever. And in my creator, my country, my fellow man. Moore was so identified with this role that he is the only person on the Walk of Fame to have his Moore is so identified with this role that he's the only person on the Hollywood Walk of Fame to have his character's name along with his on his star. Rather's lawsuit wasn't just bad PR, it pretty much killed this movie. Moore responded by filing a countersuit, and then he slightly changed his costume. He replaced the domino mask with a pair of Foster Grant wraparound sunglasses as part of that company's Who's Behind Those Foster Grants ad campaign.
He played the world's most famous masked man. Then the courts took his mask away. How did this resourceful hero of yesteryear hide his identity?
Sun sensor lenses that change. Indoors, they're light.
Outdoors, they change the dark sunglasses.
Wow, silver dollar.
What were those sunglasses that stranger was wearing?
Those were no ordinary sunglasses, ma'am. Those had sun sensor lenses.
Hell, silver! Away! Sun sensor lenses that change.
Christopher Lloyd, whose role Butch Cavendish is one of the few bright spots in this movie, said, "I thought that was really kind of nasty and unnecessary. Nothing Moore was doing was really interfering with the film. I thought that was kind of terrible." Meanwhile, Andy Warhol had interviewed Spilsbury during the promotion for the movie, during which the actor went off the rails, claiming that before making the movie, he had been an art student, married to a rich woman, and they had a baby together. He went on to state that she had left him because he needed too much time with his own thoughts, as well as the fact that he had fallen in love with actors Dennis Christopher and Bud Cort. Warhol described Spilsbury as very drunk, and that post-interview, he'd been picked up by Halston and woke up in bed with Halston. Spilsbury demanded script changes. He had trouble delivering his lines, which ended up being dubbed by James Keach. He also demanded this movie be shot in sequential order so he could better portray his character's dramatic arc. He has not acted in a movie since. Speaking of Butch, his movie begins with a gang of outlaws who are chasing two young boys, one a Comanche and the other on white, who narrowly miss their villages being attacked. The Comanche grows up to be Tonto, Michael Horse, Deputy Tommy Hawkhill from Twin Peaks. And the white boy is, of course, John Reed, who will grow up to be Clayton Spilsbury. Later, that same gang kills several Texas Rangers, which include Ranger Captain Dan Reed, Matt Perry's dad, John Bennett Perry, before Tonto again saves the day. Cavendish then abducts President Ulysses S. Grant and tries to start his own country. And who is Ulysses S. Grant? Jason Robards. This has a pretty cool cast of extras. It's got Richard Farnsworth as Wild Bill Hickok, Ted Flicker as Buffalo Bill Cody, Lincoln Tate as General Custer, an appearance by Billy Jack himself, Tom Laughlin. This movie was trying to get audiences to care about Westerns in 1981, and they didn't. As for grade, this was one of his many film failures, including Saturn III and Raise the Titanic. Two of the film's screenwriters, Ivan Joff and Ben Roberts, had previously created Charlie's Angels. That didn't help the film, nor the direction by William Fraker, the cinematographer on two other huge bombs that I love, 1941 and Exorcist II, The Heretic. It also has Merle Haggard doing the narration, a lot like Dukes of Hazzard.
Y'all ever have one of them days when everything was clicking along peaceful and perfect?
just waiting to go wrong. Well, the Dukes have a lot of days like that.
In his 1992 autobiography, Still Dancing My Story, Gray said he thought the problem was it took an hour and 10 minutes before the Ranger first pulled on his mask. There are a ton of problems before that. That said, the movie gave us a great toy line by Gabriel Toys and a newspaper strip that had gorgeous Russ Heath art. I was so excited for this movie when I was 9 years old, and I remember asking my dad partway through it, why is this so boring? Also, Gavin O'Hurley auditioned and almost got the role of the Lone Ranger. Although he lost out to Clinton Spilsbury, O'Hurley made a great impression on William Fraker, and the two remained great friends. So when O'Hurley was cast as the main bad guy in Death Wish 3, he asked to have his character renamed as Fraker. So that's some Charles Bronson trivia for you.
I made chicken. I hope you like it. It's the only thing I know how to make.
Chicken's good. I like chicken.
Anyways, The Legend of the Lone Ranger is a really rough movie. So there's also the Johnny Depp one, which some people like. I just have this weird theory that, like, sometimes when I see people put these out, like there's also the early 80s Charlie Chan movie. Who are these for? Because anybody that loves these properties is probably going to hate anything modern made of them, and anybody young is not going to know the properties. So why make? Does it ever work out? This has been BNS About Movies, trying to find and bring you the movies that no one really cares about other than me. If you do care about them, write to me. Let me know what you'd like me to talk about at bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com. Come to the website packed with content at bnsaboutmovies.com.